people in the channel to talk about it. The management now knows about that, but we are waiting for a, how should I say? We're waiting for an update on our like I'll be told when we have hands on it, and then I'll tell the community. I don't want to tell them early because otherwise people will be like, "Oh, when's it happening? When's it happening?" You know, they'll just keep asking, which isn't very helpful. Since I don't have a specific date on when it's going to happen, I just know it's going to be soon, within the next 30 days.
Okay, yeah. So both real estate and the network, as Harlan said, we won't talk about the quote-unquote network thing that Mom is talking about until we have it, and we have that. Probably, you know, at some point after that, we're gonna be talking about the real estate. But no real estate or network thing for now. Now, obviously, but I mean, we've had a lot of community meetings, so I don't think people have many questions left. So it's actually worth having an entire meeting. But if you guys have any questions you want, you can just poke me or put them in chat, and I'm going to answer to them in 5 or 10 minutes. Since you guys did show up, so I assume you want to know something about the game mode. I mean, no, it's like I was going to talk about the progress in the game mode and all of that if you cared, but I mean, if not, I mean, yeah, progress is going well on time now. Obviously, because you don't know the real estate, we can't tell you what on time means, but going well.
Yeah, we're probably going to not do any more voice meetings until we have like a bigger proper announcement, since obviously people not turning up to them. Because when I started doing them like maybe like a month ago, a lot more people turned up to them. But since I just keep regurgitating the same thing, which sort of makes sense because coding does take that long, yeah. But development's fine. I mean, we're actually the thing that's actually preventing us from setting a release date isn't actually the development of the server. It's actually this network thing that Mom referred to. There's so few of us in here anyway. That's what's preventing us. Once that's out of the way, then it's going to be very clear when we're going to be setting a release date. It will be very clear then for us to do. When we announce this big network thing to the whole community, it will make sense why I'm not making half-effort release date, why this network thing has to happen before anything else, and why I've not told the community about it early, the network thing.
User joined your channel.
That's probably one of the reasons why most people are not turning up to these meetings, because I'm not actually giving any direct answers, which isn't very helpful. But I can't say it, because if I say it, everyone's just going to start fucking spamming the shit out of me every day, asking when's it happening, which I don't really want.
Yeah, so any questions that you want have to be, like, again, if there's no questions, we're just gonna leave. But I mean, if there are some questions they shouldn't be related to the real estate or to the network thing, so.
Yeah,
Well, as I said, since we're starting to, basically we abandoned the idea of creating a framework from zero, and we're working on Helix. In the past 4 days, 4 weeks, we practically we're up to where we were last with, when the server was, when we were going to release the, I guess, alpha of the server publicly, So when we had all of those tests and we had the release date, it's same state, a bit more advanced than that. We've started working on a few bigger projects now, because obviously now, since we're going to actually finish the game mode fully before we release it, work on it more complex. We started working some projects, but none of them are fully finished yet. Obviously, we're probably going to switch to a format of when we finish something, we just put screenshots of it instead of announcing it, since it's more helpful.
I have no idea what to put that means, Fisherman, but I mean, since it's remade, I mean, of course, whatever system you had in mind would have to be adapted to that. I mean, the crafting system, if you've ever used any other Helix server, which there are a few, it works like that. I mean, it's a decent system.
This is going to be a bit more advanced, meaning that you're going to have tools that you're going to be using a lot more often than just, basic items and so on.
Pingu, yeah. Well, I had a plan on that, Pingu, because I know that these meetings would be a picture's worth 1,000 words, and to be honest, a beta is worth fucking 100,000 words. So really, we want to get the server to a state where we can put password players on it from these meetings to test it, and then
You should mention that.
during the downtime of that, we would have CPs being able to go on and train the veterans that we did previously. We're not against that at all. It's simply that we wanted to be 100% certain when we did the beta testing that we felt that now's a good time to do that. We feel it's a good time to start doing that once the network's complete, once we've done this network switch over, because we want to reignite hype in Half-Life, but we can't do that until this network thing's out the way.
Yeah, no. As for just CPs, we are probably gonna allow CPs on at sometime soon. Let's say in the following month, we're probably gonna start allowing CPs back on for training, and so on. So yeah, there will be trainings like they used to be before. As before, the server won't be finished when you guys come on, but simply to get used to the mechanics and so on. Especially because there's gonna be some different mechanics from last time when you were trained on the server. None of the features that we promised so far are going to be scrapped, Marm. Everything that I promised, especially in the Gmod division, but in the last meetings, everything is going to be on the server. Using Helix doesn't mean what's going to be restricted by Helix. We used Helix as a base because we realized that what we were trying to achieve, like starting from Helix, would be easier for us. But simply put, we're going to be highly detailed. Every single feature we promised so far is going to be put on, even if it's not on other servers that use Helix. Yes, there will be scrapping system. It's not yet done, but there will be one. No release date yet, sorry.
User left your channel.
Okay, Matthew, yeah, the map is on the workshop. It's called City 24. Anyway, so if, again, since many people in the shop, if you have any more questions, poke me now or put them in chat now. Otherwise, we're going to be probably finishing this. We made some progress, but they aren't done.
The animations are like they're already in the Helix themselves. It's done. But in terms of
players, we're
players,
putting more work into it to make them.
yeah, but in terms of like this, those sort of things do this sort of flags are something you do at the end. I mean, to be honest, development wise, because I've been out a bit more than Sin. I mean, we're literally just waiting for this network switch before we start doing any big betas. But like Sin said, we may bring on CPs earlier than that. That's sort of up to Sin.
Well, sadly, I wasn't here for last meeting. But as I told you, like, if you want to know what state the server is in, so the way the server was before we switched to Helix, it's that, but slightly more advanced, and obviously with some new features that come from Helix, which I mean, it's like just Helix features. Like any feature that ships, like we're not going to be cutting down from Helix, we're just going to landing on top of it. So there are some new features that weren't on our old framework.
User left your channel.
I mean, really, rather than us, like, man, we can't just like list individual things. Like these week-long meetings or every week were purely to make sure the player base knew we were still working on the server. But like I said, we're not going to do these anymore until we got a proper announcement. Since I mean, I'm not going to list every single little small thing we changed. There's a lot, and it's too much.
It's easier to put it in announcements, basically. So probably just when there's major change, we're just going to make an announcement and put a bunch of screenshots instead of making meetings, because it's I guess more practical, and people like simply. I mean, we've had enough meetings. I think I've answered every single possible question like 3 times so far, and I haven't even been at the half of the meeting. So.
User joined your channel.
Sort of up to Jimbo. I mean, like, when we do the beta, when we do the beta, sorry about the noise. When we do the beta, it'll be much easier to show you. Like that's when I want to show you. The problem is right now, anyone that's ever done any game development will know that it's very difficult to show people things that aren't finished and have them think, "Oh, that's good." Because if it's not finished, to most players, if we put it on our Discord and it's not finished, they'll just think, "Oh, that looks broken," which is obviously a no shit Sherlock moment. So it doesn't help anything. Like this was purely for confidence as such. No, Mo, I don't think that's true at all. I mean, we don't want to show anything until we go to the beta. But we started again from scratch, and I can pretty much tell you that right now the server is way beyond the point where we got to with Worm. Sin obviously said we're at that point, but we are far, far beyond that point. The thing that's holding us behind from doing any player beta testing is the network switch. Like I keep saying, this network switch is going to be such a big thing to deal with that it will basically crush any type of hype I make right now. If I tell you and get everyone on the server right now to play Half-Life and get involved in it again, it's not going to be good because in like 3 weeks, I'll have to tell the whole community and spam ping all the other discords this big change we're doing, and all that hype will basically be forgotten about, which isn't helpful in the slightest. Plus, when we start to redo the hype, this time around, like we want to be a lot more grounded in reality to any dates we set for some very obvious reasons, so that I don't, make the same mistake twice like before. Yes. I mean, the community doesn't know about this yet, David, but there will be something going on very soon. The management know about it, but no one else does. I'm only saying here because I agree with Mom's comments about, enough information. So I'm trying to throw a bone out there, to be honest. Because there's a reason why I'm not saying that much about the server. It's because I'm waiting for something to happen, and then I can go into that mode. The only reason I did these weekly meetings was, I keep saying, to justify to the community and to make them at least somewhat confident that the project isn't just like, oh, we delayed it, goodbye forever. Since that isn't the case at all, we've been working very, very hard on the server. And I really, really want to show people the server. It's very, very good. And I think a lot of people will be very surprised and very impressed. And right now, it feels like all that work is just under the radar because, not even 15 people turn up to this meeting, which is fine. I mean, it's understandable, to be honest. So I just as much want to get out there as everybody else. But this time round, I'm not going to, make the same mistakes. We're going to do it when the time is right, aren't we, Sim?
Yeah, and also important to note for people who might be worried that, if the hype currently dies, people won't play the server. I mean, realistically speaking, a lot of the people who don't show up to these community meetings and so on, I mean, when we release the server, they're still going to join it. Even if they haven't been so involved in the game mode anymore since we postponed the release date.
Moved out of your channel.
Like, I really
the
think
crafting. So let's go about system. I mean, it's gonna be a crafting system. I mean, every item in the game it's gonna be craftable and breaking. You're gonna be able to craft it and break it apart into pieces. Now, obviously, some recipes are gonna be really hard to get. Probably people won't have certain recipes at any point in time, but every item is gonna be craftable. Whether the crafting recipe is ever gonna be used or not, you're gonna be able to break stuff apart into pieces. And I mean, you're going to be able to, for crafting, there's also, besides the items that you use, like materials or pieces and so on, you're also going to have tools, which you have to use, for certain crafting recipes, tools that obviously don't expire. Now, there is a chance we might work on something like, tools, having like a resistance, like if you use them a lot, they break. But again, that's, we haven't worked on that yet, but that's going to be how the crafting system works. Resources are going to be collected by, again, it's going to be multiple ways. Obviously, you're going to have the basic, you go and search in trash, or, you're basically scavenge for resources and so on. But there's going to be more advanced stuff that you can, for example, steal from the Civil Workers Union and so on. You can steal stuff from Medical Union. You can steal stuff during work shifts and so on.
User joined your channel.
There's going to be certain things you get by killing things. So, for medical resources, for medical supplies, some of the stuff you want to get from medical supplies is going to be from zombie drops. For example, I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100% sure, but in the lore, but I know that antlion grubs are used for, for example, the medkits, the Half-Life medkit, the iconic one. So that's going to be one way to get resources. Loyalty points is going to be just as any other loyalty point system. I mean, there's nothing different about ours. Obviously, we're going to have different tiers, different, what's going to be different to the extent though is we're going to have a bigger accent on, I guess, the bureaucracy of the state, as mean people are actually working for the state. And after certain loyalty levels, you're not going to be able to get loyalty points by picking up trash anymore, or by, and it's not going to be given by CPs anymore. It's going to be given by, city administration for stuff like, depending on your level, the first loyalty points you're going to get by doing anything from picking up trash to reporting crime and so on. Then you're going to start getting loyalty points for stuff like, actually working, either, working as a medic or as, in the industrial union. And then the higher you get, the more important the stuff you do has to be. So, obviously at a certain level, you're going to actually have to manage stuff. Like you're going to have to rise through the ranks of the state, because I don't think that's on other servers where you can practically get to the highest level of loyalty by picking up trash. I don't think that's really accurate to how the universe would work, the Half-Life universe. Like at that point, you actually have to get involved in the running of the state. So that's going to be the one unique thing, I guess, that our server is going to have in terms of loyalty points.
User joined your channel.
When it comes to screenshot, again, like the dev can't really talk about it. They're not really understanding mode itself. They are there to code the stuff that we tell them to code. Just how I can't explain to you how, the lag optimization works. They can't really explain to you how the features work more than, just telling you the basic here. Devs explain the game mode won't really be. I mean, he's not here. I'm not sure what Joseph's doing. He's been really busy lately, with real life and so on and school. All of us have been, but especially Joe. Anyways, as I said, I mean, we're probably not going to hold any of those meetings, and as Haran said, until we have the release date or the beta date, or we have I mean, the network thing is going to be announced in a community meeting overall. We're also going to address Half-Life, but we're not going to have a special Half-Life meeting for the network thingy. So we come to the next community meeting, which is probably going to be on that topic.
When we do this whole network meeting, as long as you're in any of the other Discords, you'll know, because there'll be a big ass meeting, the whole community, and all Discords be pinged about it. If you go to that meeting, then you'll have a bit of context about why we're being so protective and delaying about it, about what information we can talk about.
Simply put, it's hard for you to understand the situation until we actually announce it. So if you care about all of this, I suggest you just start on a committee meeting. Question for Matthew. I mean, if I can explain how Helix is going to be modified. Well, there's going to be some modifications in terms of character creation and so on when it comes to fundamentally the base. But besides that, I mean, every feature that the Gmod has, we want to customize it to what we want to do. So it's not going to be like insane modifications, but every single feature is going to be a lot of minor to medium modifications on every single feature. We're going to customize it to fit what we want to do, because Helix is a very good base, but it lacks. I mean, it's like a base. It's very basic. We want to. So expect that most features that exist in Helix are going to be modified to certain extents, from crafting to character creation to health to everything. Everything's going to be modified to an extent. Nothing is going to be kind of like base Helix. Some of those modifications might miss Paul. Some of them might be bigger, but there's nothing like incredibly huge, like completely changing the face of Helix. And it's also nothing like incredibly minor. But again, there's a lot of changes. So I can't just list all of them. Safe to assume that most, if not all, features are going to be slightly edited from the base Helix version, like customized. And if there's no more questions, I mean, we're going to call it a day. No, ERP will most likely not be allowed without the GM permission. Because let's be honest, 99.9% cases of ERP are just injury. I mean, most serious RP servers allow it, but again, let's be honest, it still always ends up in injury. So for us, it's going to be a GM approval for that type of RP. I mean, if they prove it, yes, but they're probably not going to approve it. I mean, if GMs give you permission, you can do anything. That's our fundamental idea, that give you permission to do anything you want, but it has to make sense and it has to be good RP. Well, there you go. GMs don't allow it. Yeah, I forgot they had a question field. Okay. Oh wait, I just noticed his name. Okay, well. Oh wait, that's Paul von Castle. Yeah. Oh yeah. Wait. No. Oh yeah. Sorry, it's not an Italian flag. It's an Irish one.
User was moved out of your channel. User joined your channel. User joined your channel. User joined your channel.
Okay. Meeting is over. We're gonna see you already state.
User was moved out of your channel. Disconnected from your channel. Disconnected from your channel. Disconnected.